impenetrable wall, Cotton. No attack can pierce my guard. I am unbendable in will and in shield. Oh, die now. Ladies, gentlemen, and tarnished of all ages, do you like blocking? Want to block literally everything and be able to do so forever? PvE or PvP, it doesn't matter. The only thing that can even slightly hurt you are magic and statuses, and even those have limited effect which won't last the second you start pressing more buttons than just L1 with this build. This is an impenetrable wall, which is also an unstoppable force forwards, endlessly chasing enemies while knocking them to the floor. In PvP, you don't need much more than the Ash of War on the weapon and the L1 button. It is definitely something that can be outplayed, but if your opponent isn't using statuses and you stay patient, you have a ridiculous upper hand. In PvE, much fewer enemies have magic damage or status buildup, meaning your shield will be 100% effective against those. Wait for a moment, then counterattack. You can even literally do the counterattack animation if the moment of safety gives you a big enough window. The thing that makes this whole build functional from the ground up is the Fingerprint stone shield. This is the absolute biggest shield that I have seen in the entire game. Its starting stats are decent, but once you level this bad boy up to plus 25, it has a full 90 guard boost. For those who don't know, the guard boost stat is responsible for reducing the amount of stamina consumed when blocking an attack. In other words, the bigger your guard boost, the more hits you can take without having to take a breather in between. On top of this, we have a talisman that boosts guard boost, taking this all the way up to 100 active guard boost, making it so blocking attacks consumes 0 stamina. First, I'll show you how to get the shield, or more accurately, I've been slowly showing you for a little bit now, because just to get to the start of this parkour puzzle, you have to get to the end boss of the sewers that are under Lindell, the capital city. The fastest path to which being what is happening on your screen right now, and unfortunately is still very, very slow. It's a long journey, seriously. Once you reach the elevator at the end, here at the bottom is a site of grace, and in front of that is a boss. Defeat the boss, and then in the chamber with the boss, behind the reward chest, go ahead and roll into the back to reveal a hidden passageway. I know, right? What are the chances? Now engage in a somewhat particularly extremely frustrating parkour challenge, jumping from stone to stone, descending down into this pit until you reach this extended platform with a tent. Go to the right past the tent to see a corpse holding the Fingerprint stone shield. The talisman that I mentioned before, required to make this build properly functional, is the Greatshield talisman, aptly named. This talisman boosts your guard boost stats somewhere in the range of 10 to 15%, which is enough to take our max upgraded Fingerprint stone shield to the full 100. To get this talisman, go to the Erdtree Gazing Hill site of grace in the Altus Plateau and head directly east to find a parked carriage with a chest in the back containing this talisman. To make the shield an offensive powerhouse, you also need to get yourself the Shield Crash Ash of War, which is what allows you to charge forwards while guarding and dealing damage and massive knockback. This is dropped by the Teardrop Scarab located in the Lux Ruins of the Altus Plateau. At this point, it is worth noting that the shield only blocks 75 to 80% of magic damage, depending on the type that it is. This does stack with your own base magic resistances, so the result is that you take a very tiny fraction of the original spell damage that was intended to be output by your enemy. In order to reduce it a fair amount further, which is important either in PvP, where most people will have some form of magic damage, or against any enemy in PvE that you know deals significant magic damage, you want to get yourself the Pearl Drake +2 talisman. To acquire this for yourself, you need to get to the Hallig Tree Mega Dungeon of the game in the north of the Consecrated Snowfields area. To unlock this place, first head to Ordina Liturgical Town in the Consecrated Snowfields, find the Everjail entrance at the top of the town, enter it, and prepare for goddamn pain. There are 4 statues on top of roofs that you have to light candles by. You cannot use your horse, there are invisible assassins who will attack you from the shadows, and there are magical archers who fire volleys of arrows at the ladders strong enough to kill you before you reach the top of them. The quick path through here isn't too bad though if you know where you're going. First, run to the start of the town and grab this statue on the ground level. Loop back to the starting platform, then go down and forwards, jump on this banister to go around the side to this safer ladder, and climb it up to reach a second statue. Jump down from here and proceed northwards toward this taller building across the roofs to reach another ladder and finally this third statue. From here, drop back down to the starting position once more, and this time simply run around the west side of the town until you see this ladder on the far side of a building leading all the way up to the statue that it houses. With this, the Halig Tree is unlocked. From here, progress down through past the Bubble Boys until you reach the Halig Tree town site of Grace. Head straight out and up the ladder in front of you, then jump to the platform opposite the ladder. At the end of this is a corpse holding the Pearl Drake +2 Talisman. For your stats, you want a heavy focus on strength up to at least 32, at which point you can wield the shield in 2 hands. From here, level your endurance to the point that you have enough equip load to actually use the shield, as it is quite heavy, honestly the heaviest thing that I've seen as an equipable item that isn't armor, as well as the equip load space for your talismans that you're using and your armor of choice while still having a medium equip load so you can roll nicely. I would suggest picking an armor set that has at least 10 in every magic damage negation stat on the chest piece to know the armor set works for this, as magic damage is the main folly of this build, so realistically you want to find the lightest weight armor set that you personally enjoy the fashion of that has a stat of 10 or above in magic damage negation on the chest piece. At this point, continue raising both vigor and strength somewhat equally until you reach 48, which is the point that you can hold the shield in one hand. If you are truly aspiring to stick to the theme of this build, you would never do such a thing, of course. This build is all about the shield, hold it in 2 hands, god damn it! But if you want to drop a bit of the thematicness and make it a bit more effective, you can actually hold in your main hand a rapier, a heavy thrusting sword, a spear, or a great spear, allowing you to poke while still guarding. In particular, one with bleed or poison is ideal due to the frequency of the attacks triggering the statuses. Once you're at this point with your attributes, you want to continue leveling your vigor until you hit 60, as well as putting a few points into mind along the way to give you more FP to shield crash into the situation with, and then continue upping the strength and endurance stats for more damage and stamina. With all of the necessities out of the way, here are some more talismans that I recommend to fill your remaining slots depending on the situation. Firstly, the Ritual Sword Talisman. Anytime that you know you will only be taking physical damage. This talisman boosts your damage at maximum health, and physical attacks do absolutely nothing to this build, meaning this boost is always active when you're being attacked physically. This talisman is located down some stairs in the Lux Ruins in the Altus Plateau, found in a chest after defeating a boss. On top of this, the Carrion Filigreed Crest is a talisman that reduces the FP cost of skills by 25%, allowing you to use the Ash of War more frequently on this shield. This is great when clearing levels, or even just if you are feeling particularly in love with the Ash of War itself. To acquire it, go to the Road to the Manor site of Grace in the northeast of Liurnia and talk to the giant blacksmith Iji, who sells it in his shop. Radagon's Soreseal is a talisman that gives you +5 in your main attributes at the cost of increasing damage taken. It is a talisman that is just generally good all the time, as the attributes sort of offset the damage increase, and so anytime one or more of the niche talismans mentioned here doesn't feel quite right, this one will easily fill the gap. This talisman is found in Fort Feroth in Caelid. Travel through the main entrance and then up the ladder to the top. Run to the back and jump in the hole to the wooden walkway, jump across to the hidden secondary alcove to find the area that holds this talisman. And then finally, a talisman you will probably want active 100% of the time in this build, and honestly you probably just want to have this in general for many other builds too, the Shard of Alexander. This one raises your weapon skill damage by 20%, which is a pretty massive amount, but to get it you need to progress on a bit of a journey that ends in crumbling Farum Azula, the region that is unlocked after you finish the mountaintop of the Giants region. To get the questline to this point, once you have beaten the Great Rune boss of Caelid, head to the Giant Desert boss arena afterwards to interact with Alexander, who is eating the dead people. No judgment, I guess. While you can find him elsewhere beforehand, he will be here regardless to start his questline properly. After this conversation, travel to eastern Liurnia just south of the Artist's Shack site of Grace, and you'll find him submerged in the ground. This leads to him turning into groundskeeper Willie.
Lunch, Lady Doris. Have you got any grease?
Yes, we do.
Then grease me up, woman!
He implies you should use something to grease the wheels, and the secret here is oil pots. If you don't have any of these, there is a merchant who sells the crafting recipe for them in Siofra River. A bit of a trek away from the Worshipper's Wood site of Grace, up some ladders, across some wooden beams, and then down into a little bit of a stone structure. Return to Alexander and free him from his hole using the oil pot and a bit of a bop. After this, progress to a magma pit located just around the corner from the Seethwater Terminus site of Grace on Mount Gelmir. If you haven't been here before, there is a boss you may have to dispatch to safely have this conversation with Alexander. From here, you want to head to Crumbling Fair Missoula after the first mandatory boss fight of the area, go to the Dragon Temple Altar site of Grace, head out the north exit, jump down to the left, and progress along the path until you reach a corridor with some statues and a beast man. Run past him and then up the stairs on your right to find a stone sword key door. In there is an elevator leading to a site of Grace and a path forwards and around and over some crumbling structures to find yourself in front of the great warrior jar Iron Fist Alexander. He wants to fight you, so fight him. Show him who the real Jar is here and disintegrate him, I guess, in the end. And at that end, you will receive for yourself the Shard of Alexander Talisman. With all of these individual pieces coming together in combination, you will find yourself a near unstoppable powerhouse. You can block any attack in the game without fear of poise break, and only the absolute strongest of magical attacks even really pose any sort of threat to you, which even then, they don't do anything compared to what they would hit for normally. Whether you follow this build to the letter or simply use it as inspiration to grow into another sort of build, I hope you come away from this reinvigorated to go into your Elden Ring experience a whole different way. A peaceful way, maybe, where weapons aren't allowed, only shields. I've been Cotton Dinosaur from RageGamingVideos, and this has been the Impenetrable Wall Greatshield build. Like if you like the video, subscribe and hit the notification bell for more, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, stay sweet.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.